from 4 championship races on Friday to 9 on Saturday. Let's go right to the biggest one, the Breeders' Cup Classic, with the biggest news, the disappointing news that Beholder is out, and that changed the morning line. American Pharoah, a 4-5 morning line favorite, but did it also change kind of the keys to this race, Paul, in your mind?
Yeah, it completely did for me. I mean, when I was going into this race, my pick was Beholder, or I was going to go outside the box in here. But now, just the pace of this race, and you got a Triple Crown winner, there's just no pace in here. And American Pharoah, to me, is the horse to beat. He's the top pick. I think he's single this horse. The other horse for me is FNX as a live long shot, and I'll tell you why. I just think a lot of horses are going to end up chasing American Pharoah and get very tired. He's battle-tested at the distance. He's beaten Tonalist before. I think he can stay close enough. There's nobody that can stay close to American Pharoah early. I think you just single this horse and move on. He's going to end the pick 4, and I think he's going to get crowned the Breeders' Cup champion.
Without a doubt, the most scrutinized race of the year was this one, which you watched live on TVG. It was the Travers, where American Pharoah was defeated as a heavy favorite. You've had a lot of time to take this in. You were there, watched it in person. How did he get beat? Was this just Keen Ice rising to the occasion, or were there other factors in here?
I don't know, but if you go back and watch the interview with Bob, there was so much trepidation with him before the race. The interview that we had the other day after his work, there's no trepidation. The same he didn't have any of that going in to the Triple Crown. Frosted took it to him and took it to him the whole way around the racetrack. Keen Ice laid up a lot closer than he had been in the Triple Crown series. And he's just going to go by a tired horse. Now American Pharoah is fresh, and he's not going to get that kind of pace. I don't think Frosted can put that kind of pace on him anymore. I just don't see it happen, and I think he wins.
And a lot of talk about what other horses were doing in there, particularly Frosted, kind of taking it to American Pharoah early, softening up Keen Ice late. Christina, should we be concerned about American Pharoah off that Travers effort, or do we just say, look, yeah, an 8-race win streak, went through the Triple Crown, it was bound to happen?
Todd, I think, as you're saying, they took it to American Pharoah in the Travers. I think they're probably going to take it to him again in the Breeders' Cup Classic. I do see him as the horse to beat, and in my heart, I'm rooting for him. I'm pulling for him, but I am picking Tonalist in this race, and I went back and forth this morning quite a bit looking at it, but I just kept coming back to Tonalist. Yes, his best races are at Belmont, but he keeps getting better, and Christophe Clement is one of those that really campaigns for horses to continue to improve until the end of the year. American Pharoah has had an amazing year, but a tough and taxing year. My live long shot is Keen Ice in here, the horse that you just saw who defeated American Pharoah in the Travers, because he's a true mile-and-a-quarter racehorse, and we'll see what happens with regard to the pace scenario out there. If they set it up at all, you know that Keen Ice will be rolling late. I loved his work that we showed on the work show a couple nights ago. He is training so well in the morning for the Dale Romans barn. And Joaquin, my strategy is to use American Pharoah in all of your multi-race exotics, but if you're just going to bet the race on its own, maybe try to catch a price with Tonalist and Keen Ice.
I'll throw one more at you. I'm going to try to catch that price with Honor Code. I completely agree with you. American Pharoah is the horse to beat, but Honor Code is a very talented horse in his own right. And he's only had one bad race this year, and he ran down a really nice horse in Liam's Map 2 starts back in the Grade 1 Whitney. That's concern, obviously, in this race is American Pharoah getting out there on a loose, uncontested lead. But Honor Code showed that he can run down a really, really nice horse in Liam's Map in the Whitney Stakes we're taking a look at right now. I get the fractions were a lot quicker, and this was a 1 1/8. 46 for the half mile that Liam's Map set. 109 3 for 3/4 of a mile. But look at the turn of foot, look at the closing kick for Honor Code, really just inside the 8 pole. This guy is really starting to lengthen his stride. He's a really big horse, but he is going to get there just in the nick of time. And Shug McGahee does not necessarily work his horses quick. This horse is working very quickly in the mornings. And Scotty, I know this. American Pharoah is yet to have a horse like an Honor Code trying to run him down late.
That is completely true, because nobody's going to confuse Keen Ice for Honor Code anytime soon, and that backtrack looks a heck of a lot better after what we saw from Liam's Map and the way that he won the dirt mile today. So I am with you on this Breeders' Cup Classic. American Pharoah is the horse to beat. We all know that with the pace scenario and everything that's been said since Beholder scratched. But Honor Code, he was not fully cranked for that Grade 2 Kelso handicap, and that's evident by the way that he's worked with Shug McGahee at Belmont Park. 58-1 Best of 20 on October 19th, followed up by a 48 flat work at Belmont Park. So he will be cranked and ready to go, and maybe that's going to put a little bit more sharpness into him. Maybe he'll sit closer, and maybe that's part of the plan that Suge has with Honor Code, knowing the pace scenario. And Glenn Eagles is a live long shot because sooner or later, Aiden O'Brien is going to win one of these Breeders' Cup Classics. He's just too good of a trainer, and he spots them so well. So I will throw him in as the live long shot. But you look at American Pharoah and what he has done. His last buyer, 105. We go on to Honor Code. His last buyer, 101. His top buyer, 113. Last Thorograph was a 0, but he's the fastest on the Thorograph Figs. It came in the Met Mile, a negative 4 3/4 in his time form, 124. So any way you split it, it's going to come down to these two horses likely hooking up at some point down the line, whether it be with Honor Code sitting closer, Todd, or American Pharoah coming back to him at some point in time. But Keno's right. I mean, there's not been a closer like Honor Code in any of these races that Pharoah has run it.
Really a surprising start to our show. This is not a consensus. Everyone likes American Pharoah in the Classic.
True, and my thing, though, is that a lot of people forget that American Pharoah won the Derby from off the pace. He doesn't need the lead. I just think the pace is going to be so much more comfortable because Gary Stevens would have made it a living hell for Victor Espinoza, believe me. And Beholder out of the race, I think it's more Gary Stevens. Obviously, Beholder's talented, but Gary Stevens out of the race is going to be very key for Victor Espinoza.